All right, I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. My name's Ethan Diamati.
My name is Junji.
My name is Sibo Hugh,
And my name is Justin Schmidt.
and we'll get started. Is AI a threat or friend? Growing up, have you ever imagined a world that is fully controlled by robots and computers? We know we have. As our society entered to the early 2000s, world have changed a lot. From the introduction of the first touchscreen smartphone to the invention of auto-driving cars. And now, with the introduction of artificial intelligence, our society has climbed over another mountain. However, everything is a double-edged sword, and there is always a potential threat hidden deep under the surface. As Elon Musk mentioned before in his speech about artificial intelligence, increasingly scientists think there should be some restriction over AI technology at the national or international level, just to make sure that we don't do anything foolish. With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the devil. We can't say that AI provided no benefits. In fact, it is a revolutionary technology that is going to change our lifestyle and society entirely. On the other hand, if this technology is managed improperly, it may bring a irreversible damage to our society. If AI were not used properly, it would cause troubles. Something like something like job revolution. We're replacing human workers. So today we are going to cover this topic over the following topics. So what are the problems AI could pose? Why AI could continue to replace human workers? How is AI impacting our society economy?
Artificial intelligence has improved a lot in the last decade. Before, more and more robots are replacing the jobs for many people. This led them to losing their jobs and lose financial support for their family. According to BBC News, jobs were effectively taken by machines of various types. There was a hauling out of the job markets, and that left a lot of people for a lengthy period out of work and struggling to make a living. With the current pandemic that is happening right now, people are being unemployed and not being able to feed their families. With robots and improving and introducing them to replace new jobs, it can't be really helping us any better. Robots are just making the situation even worse. Not only AI improving can be good at replacing jobs, it can also replace how we communicate. According to Forbes, customer service has a great potential for it to be automated. This means that in the near future, we might see more stuff that is start to get automated. Right now, when we try to call customer service, we usually get an AI to answer it first before it gets transferred to an actual person. In the near future, AI will be smart enough to communicate with humans by using a technology called deep learning. Right now, we have Google Duplex, which is an AI phone call. This technology is basically answering the phone for us without having user to speak anything. This is achieved by Google using a technology called deep learning for its AI. With this, we can see this technology have a huge room in improvement in the near future and eventually replacing human customer service and changing the way how we communicate overall. The next slide. Another thing that AI is good at is botting. Botting is where a bot/robot buys something for you online. This is happening right now in the pandemic and it's getting worse due to the pandemic. This leads to regular consumer not being able to buy merchandise at real retail price. Instead, they will have to pay a good amount or higher price in the secondary market or eBay. just to get it. For example, the PlayStation 5 was released in November last year, and parents weren't being able to buy it for $399. Instead, they have to pay over $700 and more to get one just for their kid at Christmas. What does this mean for us as a consumer? It means that we can't buy merchandise at a retail price, and we have to pay a premium due to bots taking all the inventory and making us hard to buy our merchandise. With bot improving each day, we can this getting much worse in the near future. And next, I want to introduce you to why AI might replace human in the workforce.
All right, so now we're going to talk about artificial intelligence replacing jobs. So artificial intelligence today has become increasingly influential in the service industry. The recent innovations with AI technology are really beginning to threaten human jobs in an industry where we really thought they wouldn't have much of an effect on. So according to Sage Journals, we've already seen jobs in the manufacturing industry slowly disappear over the last 15 years. But AI is now moving into the service industry. So most service jobs are most of the time relatively simple, but they do require a thorough understanding of the job and a lot of constant human interaction, which is something we normally wouldn't think AI would be able to do, but it's becoming increasingly adaptable and beginning to move into this market as well. There was a study done in 2015 called The Four Fundamentals of Workplace Automation. So it found that a rather large percentage of the duties performed by those in traditionally higher salary jobs, such as portfolio managers, physicians, and even senior managers, can be automated with AI today. And as technology continues to advance in the service industry and reshape it, we need to really be careful and monitor the potential future impacts this could have on society. This means more employees being left without work in the industry, and also humans dealing with AI where they would traditionally be dealing with another human doing that job, which we still haven't really figured out or not really sure how it's going to affect society in the future. Many also believe that a growth in AI technology is behind the poor job market over the last 10 to 15 years, especially coming out of the pandemic, where lots of people lost these jobs in these industries. They're being replaced by artificial intelligence, and they're not going to be able to get those jobs back. David Rotman, he's an editor for the MIT Technology Review, said, impressive advances in computer technology, from improved industrial robotics to automated translation services, are largely behind the sluggish employment growth of the last 10 to 15 years. If AI continues to eliminate these jobs faster than it can create them going forward, we're going to face a lot of potential troubles in the global economy. Go to the next slide. So our main counter argument for AI eliminating jobs in these industries is that it's also going to produce a lot more. A lot of experts think. So Ajay Abdalat, he's the CEO of Beyond Limits. He says that AI, or finding things that are worth teaching to AI to learn and to figure out, that's always going to be a job in the hands of human beings. So we're going to think of AI, they kind of think of AI as any other major technological evolution, just like the Industrial Revolution. So there's usually a brief period of job loss, and then recovery after that, is going to permanently change the industry and affect the world economy from there. But this still hasn't been proved to be entirely true yet. If AI doesn't start producing these jobs at a faster rate, it's consuming them, we could see many issues in the future. AI is going to transform almost every job in every way, which could be a good thing, but it also could be a bad thing. We just don't know enough yet, and that's what leaves us pretty skeptical about it. Go ahead.
So according to authors Christian Alonso, Siddharth Kathari, and Sudhir Riemann of the International Monetary Fund, artificial intelligence risks widening the gap between rich and poor countries by shifting more investment to advanced economies where automation is already established. This could in turn have negative consequences for jobs in developing countries, threatening to replace rather than complement their growing labor force, which has traditionally provided an advantage to less developed economies. In other words, new technologies such as AI could cause a slowing down of economic growth in less developed countries, as economically strong countries invest more and more in AI. The model that the International Monetary Fund used in the article post found that divergence between developed and developed economies developing and developed economies occurs along three channels: share in production, investment flows, terms of trade. For share in production, higher total productivity equals higher wages, which means more firms in developed economies use more robots. These robots, in turn, increase production, which is a positive feedback loop. For investment flows, increased productivity in robots leads to increased investment in those robots, leading to increased investment in those economies and a higher divergence between developed and developing economies. As for terms of trade, developing economies will specialize in sectors that rely on unskilled labor, which it has more of compared to a developed economy. Robots may replace unskilled labor but complement skilled workers, leading to a decline in the terms of trade, the ratio between a country's export and import prices in the developing economy. Next slide. In an article by Marcin Szczepanski of the European Parliamentary Service, AI may also have a highly disruptive effect on the economy and society. Some warn that AI could lead to the creation of super firms, hubs of wealth and knowledge that could have detrimental effects on the wider economy. AI may also increase inequality, push down wages, and shrink the tax base due to the elimination of jobs. In theory, AI may replace routine labor, which increases productivity and income growth, which sharply increases inequality, leading to a paradox of plenty. Rising demand for high-skilled workers who can work with AI will drive their wages up, but others may see a wage decrease or even unemployment. Though AI can be seen as a threat to humanity, many argue the opposite, that AI may be a force for good. Next slide.
All right, and we'll hit back into our counter arguments here. AI eliminating jobs it's eliminating jobs in several industries, like we were talking about the manufacturing industry and the service industry, which Justin was also hitting at there in his economy part. But it's also going to produce more jobs, but we're just not sure yet, and that's what's leaving us really skeptical about it, and that's where we're leaving it right there.
As for the economic impacts of AI, many economists believe that automation has always had an ambiguous impact on inequality. Low-skill automation increases inequality, and high-skill automation reduces it. Over the short term, at least, the threat of AI to economic equality may not be all that significant. However, even if the short term of AI may not be that significant, the long-term divergence of advanced and developing economies due to the advancement of AI is still a prevalent threat. And the argument that AI has always had an ambiguous impact on equality, that is still a massive effect on the economy and society. Low-skill automation will increase inequality, and it's low-skill work that AI is taking over: cashiers, factory workers, call centers, etc.
Well, in conclusion, AI may pose an actual threat to humanity, from taking over human jobs to severely impacting the economy. AI can vastly change the world we live in, for better or for worse. And thank you for listening to our speech.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.